Lawyer Little Man. My father had stayed is nothing my share England and was the third of the five sons. After 3 years in Cambridge, I joined Mr. James Bates, well-known surgeon in London, to be trained as a doctor. My own ambition was to travel, so after my training was completed, I became surgeon on a ship named was Swallow. For 3.5 years, traveled over the world. When I came back to England, I got married to all over the world. When I come back to England, I got married and settled down for some time. But it longed for a life on the sea and once again become a surgeon in ship. I made several voyages in the next 6 years to the East and West Indies, and among them was one of my most memorable voyages to the South Seas, which begins on May 4th, 1699. The journey started well and travelled happily for nearly 6 months. We were near the coast of Sumatra when a violent storm struck us were driven through. So she for days. 12 of our crewmen died on many became very weak. Of the 5th of November, which was the beginning of summer in this part, our ship struck a rock and split into two. Six of the crew, of whom I was one, got into boat and when able to accept. We managed to row for 3 miles when a gained wave swept away all my companions. I was the only one who managed to swim to the shore. I could see so sign of life, no houses, no people. I was so excited that I lay down on the grass and was soon fast asleep. I was morning when I woke up. I tried to get up, could not move. When my arms and legs my tied tightly to the ground and even my hair, which was long and thick, was tied down. We strayed. I could not even turn my head and could not look at the sun, which of the growing water. I heard noise but could see nothing. After a short while, I felt something moving up my left leg and my chest and arms more to my chin. I looked at it annexiously and found it was a tiny creature, less than 6 inches high, marching up with blow arrow in his hands. To add my astonishment, I felt at least 40 more tiny men following the first. I shoot so loudly in surprise and fright that all the little men drove away. Many were hurt when we jumped off my chest into the ground. But soon they came back again. One of them dared to come near as to look my face. He studied my and lifted his hands and eyes. I admitted he then shouted something to his friends. I could not understand, but he said, I may fight. I broke a few strings and pulled my hands free. I tried to catch a few of them. They can run away the second time in an instant. 100 arrows hit my left hand. This picked my left needles. Another shower of arrows were shot all over my body. Those that fell on my face, at on my lot. So I threw. It was wisher to lie still. I threw. I could match their great army when I freed myself at night. When they saw I was quiet, they stopped shooting arrows. But I could feel for the noise that their number was increasing. Moving my head a little, I could see 100 of them building a stage about 1.5 feet high from the ground. They worked swiftly and inefficiently. When the stage was fully constructed, a well-dressed man who seemed to be an important officer climbed to the top where three other men. He made a long speech in my ear. It seemed to be a mixture of threats and promises. Through I could not understand a word and replied in very humble manner. I put my fingers to my mouth many times to show that I wanted food. They Urgo I learned later that was what they called a great lord. Understood my very well. He went down the stage and commanded that several ladders should be applied my sides. Soon about 100 inhabitants climbed up and walked towards my mouth. This brought hundreds of baskets laden with meat and vegetables. They were like food but very small. I ate two or three breakfast baskets of mutton legs at the time and the three livers of bread the size of a marble, and together they bought me barrel of water, each hardly more than of a pink. They exclaimed in wonder and danced upon my breast with joy and excitement. I could have easily caught 40 or 50 them and dashed then took the ground, but I felt I was now their guest, having first tasted their food and drink. I had also begun to admire their courage in coming so close to me. Soon a person of high rank came up my chest and read something from a tiny paper, smaller than my thumbnail. I was told it later. It was an order from the king that I should move their capital city. I moved in with my fear free, and I wanted my freedom. I appreciated he understood my for this shock his head and told me with sign that I must be carried as a prisoner. Then he left. Soon they applied some balm and ointment in all places where their arrows had hit me. In few minutes, all the pain was gone. I began to feel sleepy. This was due some medicine they had mixed in my water. They they loosened my bonds, and very soon I removed Gulliver was fast asleep a strange and called Lilliput the land of men, little men. Second lesson. Capital city. When I was asleep, 500 carpenters and engineers set work to build a cart big enough to carry to my capital city. The people of Lilliput were excellent mathematicians and craftsmen. Their empire of renowned patrons of learning had several machines, flexes, and wheels. Their machines were used to carrying huge trees and great weight. He had often ordered ships to be built in the forest and then carried on these machines to the sea. When I was asleep, they had brought one of the biggest machines to my side. 900 of the little men lifted me and put me on this machine with the help of pulleys. 1500 of the king's horses, each about 4.5 inches high, were employed to draw me down to the king's city. About 4 hours after we began our journey, I was I was suddenly awake due to very funny incident. The carriage had stopped for a minor repair. Two or three of Chinese people were curious to see how I looked when I slept, then climbed up the engine and craved travels my face. One of them even put the sharp and his off peak. A good whip of nostril stuck my nose like straw and made me sneeze too loudly. Then they ran away in sheer fright. The rest of the journey continued quickly. The next day afternoon we reached the city gates. The emperor and of his countries came out of look at me, but his wise men did not think it was safe for the emperor to climb upon me. At the place where I had the courage stopped, they stood an old temple. It was the largest building in the whole country. Its northern gate was 4 feet high and almost 2 feet wide, so I could just about crawl in one of each side of the gates. Was a small window not about 6 inches from the ground, and the king men brought the through in 91 chains, which were fastened my left leg with 36 locks, then left my right leg free. In a few minutes, thousands of inhabitants came out of the town to see me, several hundreds of them tried to mount my body with the help of ladders, but soon they were forbidden to so my royal order. When the workmen found that is could not break laws, they could they cut all the strings when which I had used earlier. I could not stand up and take a few steps forward. The chains knot that tied my left leg were two adds, long and allowed my walk backward and forward in semi-circle. This gave rise to great shout of wonder from the people that surrounded me. Began tied, afraid, creep the tremble and lie down full length to relax. Third lesson, Lilliput. Next morning, I came out of my house and looked around. The country looked like a garden and its fields, which were about um, 40 foot square, resembled so many beds of flowers. This tallest tree were 7 foot high. The turn of my left looked like a painted sense of city and in a theater. As I stood there, the empire came on horseback towards me. The horse unhasted such a sight as me, as its mountain had moved front of him, reared his hind legs in pride. But the empire was very good horseman, kept his seat. His servant ran and held the horse for him. The king dismounted and went around me, but he did not come near my chains. He ordered food to be brought me for me. The empires of the young princess watched me at full the tower. There was great astonishment with a quickly punished 20 carts of meat and 10 carts laden with liquor. I lay on my side to have a better view of Empire's face. He was taller by almost the breadth of nail than any of his officers. He wore a crown of gold of his head. His dress was plain and simple. He held on a 3 inches long sword in his hand. It was told to me later that he was 28 years old but was already considered past his prime, having rested over the land for 7 years. His Majesty spoke to me in a thin but very clear voice, and he answered it, but neither of us could understand a word. Several of his priests and lawyers were commanded to speak to me, and I spoke them in many languages as I knew, but it was no use. After 2 hours, the emperor and court retired, and it was left to several guards to keep watch over me. As the news spread throughout the kingdom, it brought a curious crowd of Irish people to see me. Some mischievous youth began to shoot arrows at me. One of the arrows narrowly missed my left eye. The captain of the guard called up 6 right leaders, tied their hands and feet, and handed them over to me. There were 6 men in all. I put 5 of them in coat pocket. I lifted the sixth in my hand and raised him to my mouth as it was going to eat him. He cried out in fear. When the officers were frightened when I looked out my pink light, but it locked cooled down the sweating and put him gently on the ground. I did the same with the rest of them too. The people were impressed by my kidness. In the meantime, the empire held frequent councils to decide what to do me with me. Many of his advisors warned it of the dangers of keeping me alive. This way, afraid that one might break loose and destroy the kingdom with my strength. My died, the said, when you run the kingdom and might even cause a famine. Their advisor wanted to stab me, kill me with poisoned arrows at once. The emperor was, however, pleased with the report of my gentle behavior towards the six prisoners. He ordered that all villagers surrounding 900 yards around the city would every morning deliver 60 cattle, 40 sheep, and great quantity of bread and wine for meals. 600 servants were employed to look after me, and 300 tailors were ordered to make clothes for me. In order to measure for me a coat, this tailor made me get down my knees. Then they put a ladder and climbing off measured my dropping a tape from my shoulder to the ground. When the cloths were ready, they were made of hundreds of small pieces. The longest cloth provided Lilliput was only 3 inches wide, my 3 feet long. His Majesty ordered 6 of his best teachers to instruct me in their languages, and soon I was able to speak and to understand was and said meant me. The Empire himself visited me frequently to help me with the lessons which began to conquer, and the first word I learned was to make a request for my liberty and respectfully requested my new every day. The emperor replied kindly, but he expected that before I was set free, he should be absolutely sure that I would not harm to people to Lilliput. First, he asked my late officer search my pocket to remove any dangerous weapons. I agreed at once, lifted 2 officers in my hands and put them into my coat pocket to search. They could not understand my watches to all. They thought my national was a great chef to left of the lid, said one. I little lifted it upon and jumped into box. Anywhere immediately began the sneeze at the action and made the tail fly about the air. I could not help launching. No one could guess what my guns were for. I showed them what I could do not fight. A shoot in the air. Hundreds of people fell down in fight. Even the empire gasped and looked some time to recover. The order then my gun and my sword should be taken away, but after my order, possession should be returned to me in order to end my liberty and find their friendship. I was very gentle was the people of Lilliput. I wrote something, some lines died down and left 5 or 6 of them dance my hand. Some of them were bold enough to play hide and seek in my hair. One day the emperor decided to let me see some country abroad. Their entertainment was very strange. I was amazed that I saw that people was washed to raise high positions in court. I had a proof there killed by Rome dancing. It was performing upon slender while thread stretched about 3 feet above and ground. One who jumped the highest got the provision. Many important officers were ordered to show their skill, and many were killed or injured trying to better than rivals. Another curious thing I saw the chief men doing was jumping over keeping under a stick when the empire held either high or low. The one who was fittest was given a blue crowd skilled thread. The second best was given a lead thread, and third and green which most noble who had guided.
Taro Bangkar.
One day I struck upon an idea to entertain the empire. I placed 9 holes in ground on side the 4 corners of my handkerchief to the tops of the poles. This made of kind a platform and picked off some horsemen and placed them on the platform. They were able to ride and fight mock battles. The emperor came to see the show and was present with any doubt, sat on the train initial. After many performances, my show had stopped for one. The horses ripped a hole in a handkerchief. The empire found another for the entertainment. He made me stand with me legs set part of cloud. Then I ordered his troops to march under me. The king order is meant to observe the strictest dancing as they passed under me. But same but some of the younger officers could not resist launching at many breaches, which of at time in a very poor condition. At last the emperor was convinced of my sincere friendship and decided to set me free. I had to assign written agreement with the kingdom of Lilliput. In agreement, I promised not to leave the kingdom without permissions. I had to take great care to not injure any people of country. I was not to enter Maldonado, the capital, without warning. The people before I must conform myself to their highway and not lie down in the field or lift up any Lilliput without their consent. I agreed to carry urgent dispatches from the king of distance part of the kingdom and held the first man is lifting heavy stones for the royal building in return for their promises. I was